Hi guys, welcome to or welcome back to Cooking with Pouncy. Thank you so much for tuning in to Cooking with Pouncy again, and if it's the first time, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you see, please hit that like button. Let me know what you think as well, and pass this on as you see fit. Tonight I'm going to do I'm a little disgruntled here tonight, guys, but I'm going to be fine. I was going to do this meal outside on the grill. In this part of the country, I'm looking here to my right. It's snowing to beat the band. I don't know what that means, but deck is full of snow, so is the grill. So we're going to, we're going to broil this tri-tip or triangle tip steak, and I'll be lowering the camera to show you exactly what I'm doing with this hunk of meat here. It weighs about 2 pounds, weighs 2.2 pounds, and we're going to broil this thing, and it's going to turn out really, really well. I would love to have it on the grill, but that's not going to happen this evening because I'm not going to put my galoshes on and go out and cook a tri-tip. So I'm going to be back with you in just a little bit and walk through the process with you, and so we can get this meal going and enjoy it for dinner tonight. Okay, so hang in there and I'll be right back. It's a great piece of meat, not the choicest piece of meat, but if it's handled correctly, guys, cooked properly, sliced properly, it's absolutely excellent if you've never tried it. So let me walk through that. It's a simple meal tonight, very simple, guys, okay? I'm going to do some corn on the cob. I'll only be boiling 2 of these for my wife and I. I'm going to use, of course, some coarse ground black pepper. I'm going to use, and those of you that watch my videos, I'm going to be using something called Meat Magic. This stuff is phenomenal. It's akin to Montreal steak and those kind of seasonings and flavors all mixed together, but so that's what I'm going to be using on here for the salt portion. I might use a little sea salt as well. I've got some portobello mushrooms here, just 6 ounces. That's going to be enough for 2 people. And they're excellent. Got a meaty texture to them. I like that a lot. We like that a lot. And here is the triangle tip. Bought this from my local market, and I'm going to be opening this here shortly. And I'm going to score it, and I'll show you what that's all about in a little bit too. We're going to cook it hopefully to about medium rare to go in the broiler. That buzzer you just heard was the broiler. It's at its temperature, about 550, I think it is, or 525. And that's what we're going to be cooking this at. Probably for no longer than 14 to 15 minutes total cooking time for the whole thing. I got to mention this too. This is about room temperature. I took it out of the refrigerator quite a while ago, and I did it on purpose because I wanted it to get close to room temperature, all right? And I'm going to be seasoning it up here. I usually do that a little bit ahead of time too, doing that process of getting it to room temperature. And then we're going to put this under the broiler and we're going to get it cooked, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. So I got my corns all ready. As you see, I've got it all prepped for the boiling water. When I put that corn in there, I've had people ask me, how long do you cook it? What you don't want to do is overcook it. I'd rather eat it raw than overcook it. So I'm going to put this in boiling water. The water will stop boiling once I put it in there, and I'll bring it back to a boil. Once I bring it back to the boil, the corn is done. Simple as that, guys. Bring it to a boil, put your corn in, no matter how many ears you've got. I decided to make 3 here in case I want another one. But again, you can't crowd it as well, but put your corn in the boiling water, bring it back to a boil again, and as soon as it comes to that second boil, stop it from cooking because you don't need to cook it any longer than that. Mushrooms are ready to go. I think I told you about those already, the portobellos. I got 2 tablespoons of butter in my pan over here ready to saute those. And here's that chunk of meat I've got. I've also got my, just a little half a baking sheet here. And I've got a rack on top of it. I don't remember where I found this rack, but I've also got a full one with a cookie sheet thing that I lay out. But this is sufficient surface enough here for this steak, okay? I lined it, as you can see, with aluminum foil. Cleans up pretty easy. So I'm going to put my steak on here. And the reason I want a rack here, guys, is you don't want that steak sitting in its own juices and boiling. You don't want that to happen at all. So we're going to broil this thing at highest temperature my broiler will give me, and that's about 525, like I said. And I'm going to get that thing maybe 6 minutes on one side. I'm going to turn it over. I might turn it more than that, but I'm trying to achieve that. Maybe pull it at 130 degrees, which is going to take it up a little bit more once I let it rest, because the meat still cooks even when it's resting. And that's why you want it to rest. Don't use a broiler fork or a fork to stick it to see if it's done, or stick it to turn it over, guys. Use a pair of tongs. Is that cool when I do that? Use a pair of tongs to take it Just gingerly roll it over, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to set that there for a moment. And I'm going to grab this hunk of meat here. I've already unwrapped it. Like I said, it weighs 2 pounds. Let's just plop that on here. Don't get nervous when you see that fat, because that fat is a good thing. It really is, guys. And it's really not that much at all. I got my little paring knife here. I don't need a boning knife. And I think I'm just gonna look and ignore not that, because it's just hanging off. Let's just cut that off. Let's get that off of there. And I'm feeling here that looks like tallow, and I think I'll just cut a little bit of that off. Not much, a little bit, because it'll render off, guys. Especially that heavy stuff, but not too heavy, all right? So that's why I did that. Got that off. That's it. Let's pull that out here. I like it when the stores put this on there. This is not edible at all anyway, but it adds to the weight. I shouldn't have gone there, but I did, guys. It adds to the weight of the package. So let's just trim this off a bit. You got some silver skin under here. You guys know what that is. It's that white looking stuff you see here, a membrane or whatever. Let's just trim some of that off as well. And I didn't realize that was going to be under there. You saw it the first time, and I did too. But I've seen that before. But you don't really need that on there. So let's cut that off. And I'm trimming it off, leaving as much of the meat as I can, just with the tip of the knife. And you'll find this too. I could have just cut the whole thing off, but you don't want to do that. Just do this here. And the problem with this, though, guys, is that little skinny piece is going to cook a lot quicker than this portion, right? So I might even separate that. I'm just rambling here, guys. I might separate it and get it off of there and just cook it by itself or something, but we'll see. But as you can see, it's very simple to take that off, okay? Which is what I just did. Now it's clean. We'll just take that off the tip, and that's ready to season, all right? I'm going to score it first. I told you about scoring. I kind of don't like that, guys, because it's going to cook a lot quicker. So let's cut that off. I'm going to just cut that off. I'm not going to discard it, though, all right? I'm going to cook that separately. All right, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to turn it over. And then, guys, again, excuse me, when you're going to carve this thing or slice it, make certain you slice it across the grain. I've mentioned this in videos before, and I'm sure you probably have heard this before as well. When I say slice it across the grain, for those of you that don't know what I mean, I'm looking at it here, and I'm actually seeing the way this meat, the grain is running. It's going just like that, okay? And what I'm going to do in the slicing process, I'm going to slice it this way. Grain's running this way. No matter what you're slicing in meat, always slice it across the grain. It's going to give you a much tender bite, more tender bite. That's the right word, more tender. Much more of a tender bite if you slice it across the grain. You'll ruin it if you slice it with the grain, guys. Be real chewy and tough, all right? So, again, grain goes that way, you cut across it this way. So I'll take my little knife, and I'm just going to score it. I'm not going down too deep. I'm just going to score it like this. Like I said, I don't know what kind of value that has. Then I'll go the other way. But it just makes it pretty once it's broiled. And you just get those little score marks on it. Let's put the knife away now. And I didn't touch the meat with this glove, so I'm going to do this with my salt. And I'm going to be using sea salt here. Let me put my Meat Magic on here first. Told you about the Meat Magic, and this, guys, again, if you haven't tried it, it's really good. It'll be an ingredient list, and I'm doing it to taste. I'm shaking right now, doing it to taste, and I'm not going to over season, because I've used this many times before. And in addition to that, I'm going to use some of that sea salt, not a whole lot. Here we go, right over that little fat cover right there. You get that? And I usually put a little olive oil on it too, just so that seasoning will adhere to it better. I almost said sooner, but better, I think. But it's going to be okay. It's got enough fat here to render down and have its own fat rather than me adding anything to it. You notice I'm getting all this exposed areas. All the sides and everything is going to be covered. That's looking pretty good for that. And I think I put, again, a little bit of that sea salt on here. You can use any kind of salt you want. Just watch the sodium content. And a big piece of meat like this takes quite a bit. And again, I've used this stuff many times, and I know I'm not over seasoning it. In fact, it creates a bark that I really like as well, and you'll like that too. Now let's go with some black pepper, coarse ground. As I showed you earlier, it'll be an ingredient list too. It's just coarse ground black pepper, regular McCormick's pepper, coarse ground. Let's just shake some of that over there. I almost said you can't shake too much, but again, it's to your taste. I'm going to pat it in there a little bit. Make sure you get the sides and the edges, because all of this stuff, as it hits your palate, it just kind of lights it on fire. And it's really, really good, guys. It's really good. If you've not tried tri-tip, sometimes it's called triangle tip as well. And it's not the most high quality meat, just like a brisket. But if you cook it correctly, it's really, really good. Very flavorful with all the marbling. Let's not forget this little guy right here. I almost forgot this little piece, but I'm going to do that right here, just like it just did. You know, I make sure I don't put too much on that little skinny piece, because you can over season this little thin piece, and we don't want to do that. All right. Okay, so I'll throw the salt here a little bit, not too much. Not too much, a little bit. And I'm going to press it in there. I'm saying that, guys, because if you've not tried these things, they're really, really good. Really good, and I have many, many, many times. Again, I want to do it on a grill, but the weather won't permit it. I'm not putting on galoshes to go outside and cook. So that's why we're going to broil this. And I'm going to be back with you in a little bit. I'm going to be putting it on the pan that I just talked to you about. We're going to put it on this pan here with my aluminum foil. And I'm going to put this side up, the top side, if you will. Put that side up, and I'm going to put it. It's going to be about 6 inches away from the coil. I've got electric range here. It's going to be about, I didn't touch it. It's going to be about 6 inches away from that coil. And I think that's going to be a perfect distance, all right? So let's put this little guy on. I'll be taking that off long before this, right? Okay? But I'm not going to throw that away. So I'm going to be opening my oven here. You don't need to see all of that, I guess, but my rack is already set in place, and this is going to go in. I'm going to leave it in there on this side for 7 minutes, give or take. I'm going to turn it over maybe for another 7, not maybe, but for another 7 minutes. And I'm going to be looking then for that temperature of about 130 degrees. Let it rest, and it'll bring that temperature up a little bit more for me to give me about a medium rare. So we're going to see what happens with this whole process. So I'll be back with you in a little bit. I'm going to let you see me put it in the oven here, all right? All right, let's do that. And that's hot. That is really hot. And I got on a rubber glove. What do you think of that, guys? The oven's at 525. And again, that's my broiling temperature. So there you have it. I'll be back with you in a little bit. Okay, guys, here we go. They've been cooking. It's been cooking for exactly 21 minutes. I did flip it over twice. Oh my goodness, that piece of meat looked good. That looks really, really good. So we're going to let it rest, as I indicated earlier. My corn is ready. The corn got ready about 5 minutes ago. As I said, I boiled that water, brought it to a boil rather, and then I put my corn in, 3 ears, brought it back to a boil, and I immediately shut it off, took it completely off the burner, and that corn will stay hot until supper time. Anyway, here's that beautiful piece of tri-tip. Get my other glove here, mitt here. I think you can see that okay, guys. There's my little lines that I scored it with, and it's actually resting now. I'm going to let it rest for about 10 minutes, and it's actually still cooking. I temped it at about 130. I'm going to be shooting for a medium rare, and that's why I'm going to let it rest, and you should let yours rest as well. Don't cut into it right away, because you'll lose all of your juices if you start cutting it right away. So those folks that might be real hungry, tell them they got to wait, okay? All right, guys, here we go. We're about ready to do our thing with the slicing deal. And remember, I told you, for those of you that don't know, to slice it across the grain. Make certain you slice it across the grain, because any other way you slice it, you're going to ruin it. All right, it's not going to be tender for you. You don't want to be chewing it like it's beef jerky, okay? So it's been sitting there for about 10 minutes, and we're going to take it off here. And again, I was shooting for a medium to medium rare, and that should be about what I got. One of the things that's going to happen with this, and the grain is running this way, guys, okay? You can see that, and I'm going to slice it across the grain this way. And one of the things that's going to happen with this 2-pound piece of meat too, the meals that's going to happen after this, the salads that we're going to make, the sandwiches that we're going to make after this dinner. My plates are in the oven. I failed to mention that to you. I always put my plates in the oven. And that's the residual heat from that broiler. That was very hot. And that means that these plates are also very hot. And I always do that. encourage you guys to do that too, because your food stays hotter longer. And let's just put those over there. But I'm going to slice this up here, guys. Those plates are hot. Sorry for all the noise, guys. All right, so here we go. Across the grain, like I said again. And this got a nice bark on it. You may be able to hear that. Nice, beautiful bark on it, okay? And we're going to start slicing here. I should have my serrated knife, but I got it going here now. It looks good, guys, I'm telling you. Can you see that? My, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. And just touching it, the juices is just running out of it. I think you might be able to see that. Beautiful pink. Beautiful, beautiful pink. That is just beautiful, guys. I am so proud of myself. You guys should be proud of cooking the Pouncy too. I told you what I was after, and I got it too. So again, a total of 21 minutes cooking time. Let me show that to you. This is beautiful. Beautiful. That's just beautiful. Nice, beautiful. And of course, I got well done on the very two end pieces. I got medium well. I got medium rare, and then I got a rare right in the center here, right? Beautiful. I love it. I love it, guys. Sorry for rambling on and on with it. I'm going to plate up one of these here, and then I'm going to show you that after I plate it up, just for presentation. Anyway, all right, guys, this is it, the finished product. And it looks really, really good. And the plates are hot. I don't think I can manage this here, though, okay? Here's my presentation. There are those beautiful portobellos. And I've got a sprig of rosemary on there for color. And there's this here of corn, and there's that beautiful meat. And here's the other one. It's very similar, obviously, to that one. But guys, I'm certainly hoping that if you decide to make this okay for yourself and your family, that you guys will enjoy this as much as we're going to enjoy this dinner tonight as well. Catch it on Cooking with Pouncy. Thank you again for tuning in. Hit that like button if you like what you see, guys. And I'd like to see you back here again and pass this on and let me know what you think as well. Thank you so much, guys, again.